Welcome to those who are new, and welcome back to those who have been here before, and to those who continue to come back. Welcome back and thank you. This is this session, and it's on Sundays, typically around about this time, or maybe an hour later, and or on a Tuesday. And what it is essentially digging into understanding internal family systems. And we're using the book that was authored by Richard Schwartz, who is the father, the originator of this modality. And we're using that as the foundation around discussions, engagement, meditations, and connection. And, a lot of it is kind of Sarah and I talking, but equally a lot is engagement from those on and in the practice. And that's my little piece. So I don't know, Sarah, if you want to get into the details of it.
Yeah, definitely. So, internal family systems is a modality that can help you with feeling more grounded, more confident, healing trauma as well. It's a very powerful modality to do the healing work, be it shadow work or inner child healing. And it is a modality that works especially with relating. So you relating to yourself or, your parts, like we say in internal family systems. And I find that when we learn how to cultivate a loving, compassionate relationship with all of us, that then usually also extends into other relationships around us, any form. Now, for everyone who is new here and doesn't really know much, or maybe has heard a little bit or nothing at all about internal family systems, there are a few key concepts that are important to know before or when we start the practices. So one of the main concepts is that we are not just one mind, right? We are not just one mind and one body, but our mind consists of multiple sub-minds, or, what we call parts. And those parts, they can be sensed in and around our bodies through emotions, through sensations, through thoughts or impulses, or even behaviors. We are born with those parts. They are not something that has happened due to trauma, where our unitary mind has become fragmented, right? Instead, we are born with parts. So they are here since the very beginning. Some come a little bit later in our lives as we develop. And those parts are all good. They all carry a good intention. But trauma can, or just adverse childhood experiences or stress or whatever it is, all those experiences can force certain parts into roles that they don't like, and roles that might not be healthy down the line for us or long term, right? They get stuck in those roles. We also distinguish between three main roles, meaning that we have protector parts, and we have the managers who are here to control, and the firefighters who are here to usually kind of like put out the fire when a strong emotion came up, meaning through numbing or dissociating or whatever it is. And they both have the intention of keeping a vulnerable part at bay that would overwhelm the entire system. And that vulnerable part we call the exile. This is maybe also something that you know more in terms like in the wounded inner child, right? And then, which is very unique to internal family systems, we also have a core essence, which we call the self. Now, the self is patient, it's compassionate, it's curious, it has a certain sense of openness, right? It is kind. It can also be courageous and confident. It has clarity. And this aspect within us, the self, our core, is always there. We're also born with the self. But our parts with their roles can, be like clouds and cloud us from self. So we don't access our self energy, right? So in internal family systems, self is the inner essence that we want to learn to come back to, all right, through certain practices. And also through having relationships with parts, and we can actually ask our parts to step back. We can be in communication with our parts, right? And our parts, they also have relationship with each other. So this becomes very interesting when you sense one part and then you sense maybe another part that is in opposition to that part, right? One of the great analogies Richard Schwartz always makes is when you have to make a decision, right? And you have different opinions on what the best course of action would be, right? Meaning that one part says this, one part says that, right? And sometimes they're fighting each other, right? Or supporting each other. And the self, our core essence, can be some sort of leader to navigate all those inner relationships of our parts, between the parts themselves and between our core self and our parts. So we become the safe or the secure attachment figure to our parts, right? We can then, help our parts take on different roles, unburden the exile, meaning healing the inner child, right? And through that, come into more harmony, right? We create more harmony within us when we are able to navigate the different parts we have within us and what drives them and unburden them. So this is basically the core. Did I forget something, Tari?
No, that was it. Perfect. Thank you. Proper recap.
Cool.
Yeah, it is, Randy. It is a really great modality. And so today we're going to do two practices. Sarah's going to do challenging protector, if I'm right. And I'm going to work on a dilemma. And yeah, so that's the plan for today. And then either on Tuesday or on Sunday, we'll do a recap of chapter 4. Yes, it's chapter 4, which we're on now. days. Okay. I'll let you answer that question, Sarah. Sarah, I've got an issue with my computer, so I'm going to have to just restart and come back in again. So I'll let you carry on with that question and then not let you. If you can take that question and then start your practice, and then I'll jump in as soon as I'm working.
All right, so I have this, I got the question. Is it recommended to give names to these parts? Um, I mean, you can. You can also ask the part if it has a name or what it wants to be called. That's also a possibility. And sometimes, like, personally, I don't always give the parts names. Sometimes I just describe them. So I have a part that is rather angry, so I just write, angry part. When I do a mapping or just see what's going on, right? Or like I said, really ask it what it's called. Like I've done that before too, and I've gotten their names, and that's them. So they're little personalities, they really are. Did that answer your question? Like I don't always give them all, like I don't always describe them or give them names. It really depends how much they need to be in relationship with me to give me more space. It really depends. The practice I'm going to guide you through is called Working with a Challenging Protector. And if you're new to internal family systems, that might be a little bit, well, quote unquote, challenging for you. And that's totally okay. So if you're really new, you can also find a part within you that is maybe not so challenging. But still, something that is triggering you in a way. So the part that we are gonna work with is a protector part. So try to find something that is doing something. So less of, like less a vulnerable part, but more a part that, maybe is the inner critic that usually helps. Or something, or a part that has, strong urges, that wants to do something, or has very strong emotions that are very difficult for you to hold or to contain, right? So before we get into this practice, just maybe tune into yourself. Maybe you had a situation just recently where something came up and, maybe there was an angry part or a shaming part or a critic, or just a behavior that you're really, really annoyed and you can't kind of like, oh, why is this still happening, right? You just have you sense a strong reaction towards that part, meaning that behavior that that part exhibits or the emotion or whatever it's doing. Yeah, you can just sense into something to begin with. How do you find parts? Yes, Deborah. Exactly. It's something that our inner dialogue reveals. So she's saying. So it can also be emotions. It can also be behaviors, thoughts, right? Beliefs and sensations in our body. Like sometimes it can also just be a sensation in our body, and then we focus on it, and when we start talking with it, it starts to talk back. And then you sense that, there's a part. Still waiting for Tari, but I think that's going to take a moment. So I will still start the exercise with you then. So take a comfortable seat. And just connect with your breath. Sense into your body. Sense into the surface your body is resting on. And just arrive. Just arrive in that container, in your body, and in this space. Now, think of a part within you that can quite be challenging for you to face. Am I looking for a protector part? So, like I've said before, a part that is doing something. Maybe the inner critic, or maybe a part that's criticizing others, or some behaviors or impulses that are really challenging for you to accept. That might bring up also some other emotions around it, being frustration or anger or shame or impatience. It helps to think of a behavior or a situation that happened recently. Where you may be stuck in a loop of, I should have done different, I should have, and all those thoughts, right, that come with it, and emotions. So, when you have found something, sense where in or around your body you can notice it. As you're focusing on it, in or around your body where that part is. Notice what thoughts and emotions and sensations are coming up towards that part. And just make note of it. So the thoughts and sensations and emotions that you are experiencing toward that challenging protector are an indication that there are other parts. Those are the feelings and thoughts of other parts. it's very likely that you are right now, your self, your essence, your core is right now blended with those parts because they don't feel safe around that challenging protector and they're reacting to it. So what we're gonna do to create a little bit more space between you, yourself, and the parts that are reacting, that don't feel safe around this challenging protector, is that we're gonna place the challenging protector in a safe, contained room with a window where it will just reside for a moment. You can create a room comfortably, maybe put some furniture in there, and you put the challenging protector in there and close the room. Now, tell the parts that are reacting to your challenging protector that this protector is now in that room and it cannot get outside anymore. At least for now, just for this moment during this meditation. And they are safe. You can all look at it through the window, but it won't be able to do anything for the time being right now. And just see how the parts respond to that. You can also ask them if they would be willing to just relax a little bit. Because they're safe now. Right now, in this moment, they are safe. Now check in again if those parts would be willing to relax a little so you can become curious about the part in the room. This is initially what we are trying to sense into. A little bit of openness and curiosity towards the challenging part. Now, if you sense that your parts are not able to relax, that's fine. You can just spend the rest of this meditation getting to know those parts and what they're afraid of and what they're doing for you. However, if they were able to relax a little bit and give you a little bit more room, and you can sense that in how curious or open you feel towards the part in the room, or maybe it's just neutral. That's fine too. So if you sense that something has a bit shifted into more openness, I want you to focus on the part in the room now. Just look at it. How does it look like? And then you can ask that part in the room what it wants you to know. What does it want to tell you? Just listen. What does it want you to know about itself? And what is it afraid of? What happened if it stepped out of its role? If it stopped doing what it's doing? If it answers that question, see if you can show it some appreciation for at least trying to protect you. And see how old it thinks you are. Now, if it has gotten you, or if it has revealed you an age, you might want to update the part on your current age. And you can also tell it a little bit about yourself, who you are, how old you are, and then just see how it reacts. If at some point you sense some resistance or some other challenging feelings towards that part, just know that this is most likely another part that has come in again. And you can always ask the parts when they jump in to take a step to the side to create a little bit more room for you to connect and get to know the challenging protector again. You can also ask the parts to relax and just see if they're willing to. If not, you can just spend some time with the part that doesn't want to step back. So we're focusing back on the, if you can, if your parts let you do that, you're just focusing back to the challenging part, the one in the room. Again, sense into how it feels towards you. After you updated it on your age or wherever you are at with your conversation. Now, I would like you to ask the part one thing. So if you could change or heal what you're protecting, right? Like what the protector part is protecting, so that it wasn't really an issue anymore and you are freed from this responsibility. Like the protector part is freed from this responsibility of protection and could do something else. What would it like to do? Wait for an answer. Let the part reveal it to you. It's okay if it doesn't know yet, but maybe it just doesn't want to do what it's doing anymore. And that's good enough. It can find something else later. And when it reveals something to you, even if it's just, I just don't want to do this anymore and I want to rest, ask it what it needs from you in the future. Now, whatever it revealed to you, maybe you can make a deal with it. Maybe you can see if you can help it and meet its needs in the future. You can also set a time or a day where you're saying, hey, I'm going to check in with you again. And sense if that feels somewhat complete with that protector in the room. And before we finish up, thank your protector in the room for revealing itself to you. And check with your other parts. How are they reacting now after witnessing your conversation with the challenging protector? And before we wrap up, you can also extend to them your gratitude. Maybe you want to let them know that this wasn't the last time you checked in with them, that you're here, and that you will be back. And whenever this feels complete, and whenever you're ready, you can come back to the present moment. So thank you, and thank you to all your parts for doing this maybe a little bit more challenging exercise than we did previously. Um, I'm curious how it went for you. If anyone feels courageous and open to share, please let us know.
I thought it was great.
Did you do it too? I didn't see you, so I couldn't.
That was very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. It might be a little bit challenging for those who are not so um, familiar with internal family systems yet, especially in the practice, right? With self energy and talking to the parts and asking them to step back or relax. How to relate with the parts. And this is basically more or less how we do it, how we relate to them. And yeah. Mm.
No, it was good. I wonder, we were going to do a second practice, but I mean, kind of looking at the time, and also I've got an issue with my laptop, which is just not fixing itself. I don't know if I'm coming across because it's just, anyways, it doesn't matter. Maybe just kind of
Oh,
speak and open up to questions.
yeah, exactly. That's what I wanted to say because we got some really um,
Mm.
interesting, amazing um, comments. So Jenny says this was challenging but helpful. Just what I needed today. You're welcome.
Duchess, you say your righteous anger part was exhausted.
Yeah. A lot of our parts, protector parts, are exhausted because they have been doing what they were doing for a long, long time and they're doing such a hard job at trying to protect us. I get that. I get that they're exhausted. I have those parts too. So,
Yeah, I think heard the word exhausted with you a fair few times, actually.
yeah, especially in the last few weeks, right? I've come across a few parts with as well who are quite exhausted.
Shari, super gentle and great prompts really helped me hold my protector with compassion, curiosity, and gratitude. Thank you.
Oh, amazing.
What do you think about the question there from Joaquin, is it? Are parts also expressed somatically?
Yeah, I mean, when I say feel into your body, where is it, right? This is a somatic experience of the part. Sometimes we also just sense a knot in our stomach. We don't know what it is. And when we connect with that sensation that we have in our body, right? Or the tight neck, the tight shoulder,
Mm.
right? And we drop into it with curiosity and openness and compassion and start asking questions like, hey, like, what's up there? What do you want to tell me? And then, boop, it starts talking and you have a part. I mean, it reveals that there is a part, right? Um, so in a way, you can also call it, like somatic parts work because we do work, with the body in terms of where can you, notice it in or around your body. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And I mean, we haven't properly spoken about it. I sent you the voice note, and I think some of you, Bodil, you caught the tail end of it. KP, you were on it. I did a practice this morning on Inside Time Alive around the father wound. And speaking for self, if we want to talk about a challenging part. Fine, it's not the part, but it was carrying a burden of a challenging relationship. And I, and again, I continue to just attest to the strength and the power of internal family systems. It's even though I was leading, I still was able to truly feel and get to a place and space and to connect with the parts. And you know, there was I did a precursor to the practice yesterday. And the part showed itself up quite clearly, and it was fear.
Mm.
And then today I tried to engage with that part, but there was a part in front of it.
Mhm.
And it wasn't really, I couldn't really access it. Um, and what it did say was it was worried about about connection and lacking connection. And then the other part, which was fear, showed up, and I had an engagement with that part. And, you know, this practice, like the practice which I was going to do about a dilemma, really speaks to the bit which I was talking about, or I've been talking about, how I haven't really worked within the system of internal family system. In
Mhm.
that, for me, it's really been segmented. It's been about certain specific parts, how I've engaged and how I've related with them. And, it's great. That's how what's what got me here. But this was really the first time I've had an interaction between two different parts. And it was really quite interesting. Um, and that first part, I'm not too sure. I'll sit with it, but I don't know. I don't want to put a label on it. But yeah, I mean, that was just me kind of sharing my engagement and my kind of journey, especially for those who are new and who are encountering internal family systems for the first time.
Thank you for sharing, Tari. I have one curiosity or one question. So the parts that were in opposition to each other, do they know of each other? Did they see each other? Were
Yeah,
they
they did.
okay?
They did. And it's interesting. I'm just seeing Randy's question. The part that the practice that I did yesterday, and I found this to be so powerful for myself, is I'll typically, on a weekend, on a Saturday and a Sunday, well, I will do an engaging with the throat chakra, so a truth practice, and then do a parts practice the next day. And 100% of the time so far, there has been a very strong connection for me in that space, doing it that way. And to answer your question, they did know about each other because and again, on the back of this, um, these sessions, and what you've been saying and what I've learned from you is I was able to ask that part. I was able to ask another part to step forward and allow me to engage with it because the first part wasn't very, I don't want to say wasn't very clear, but yeah, something. So they did know about each other, definitely. And interesting, I, like my meditations, as you know, are very visual.
Mhm.
I find that the easiest way to relate. And I found myself like in this pool with all of these almost like, the Pharaoh Ptolemy, like these images around the pool. And the one part, fear, like stepped forward and engaged with. Um, and had a proper engagement. And it was really quite startling what the part spoke about.
Mm.
But it made complete and utter sense. Complete and utter sense. And the question that I have actually is because I asked the part, what age do you think I am? And even though the time which we spoke about was literally 10 years ago, 12 years ago, probably about circa 2013, maybe 2014. Because I asked them, when did you start carrying this burden? And it said, then. I said, how old do you think I am? And it said 3 or 4.
Mhm.
Do you want to speak to that?
I mean, it can still think that you are 3 or 4. I mean, I don't know what your part said exactly, like about that burden or that behavior or whatever it's doing that you said, or that it apparently said that it has been, what, in 2013 or something, right?
Yeah.
It could be, that it has started that during that time, but that its role in general, right, has probably started when you were around 3 years old.
Hmm.
So protectors can take on
Hmm.
different roles or other roles as we get older and as we, have other challenging situations.
Situations. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Right. So when my father died, for example, all of a sudden by an accident, that was very shocking for my system, right? And certain protector parts within me suddenly took on maybe not new roles, but maybe even new roles. Actually, they did. Some took on new roles, some, reinforced their roles. They become even more extreme, right? And I wasn't a small child, I was 20 years old back then, but it was still so overwhelming for my system that
Hmm.
the parts that started their role maybe when I was 5 years old, just upped their game back then and took on even more of a burden. So that's very possible. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I can still think that you are this small child. That's why when you're still,
That's
when
why
they're
they're there.
20,
Hmm.
they still think like, oh my God, I have to do this whole big thing because they still think you're
Protect this person.
5 or something, right?
Yeah.
And they take on another burden. So that can happen. We can also have exiles that are not, little inner children, quote unquote, right?
Hmm.
But actually also a 20-year-old me who was in shock when my dad died and couldn't process the grief, right? So 20-year-old exile does exist.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other questions or comments from anyone out there? If not, we'll close it down. Good session. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking lead again.
Of course, no worries. I'm here.
Um, but I think I feel the need to kind of plant a seed with everybody who's on the call. For some of you, you might know or remember that I was going to do a retreat in South Africa, probably around about now, isn't it? October, in October,
End of
soon.
October, beginning of the November.
Yeah. And it didn't happen for a reason. But one of the things that Sarah and I were talking about was still doing the retreat. So the retreat will move to after Easter next year, so about May 2026. So be prepared for that. That'll start to come out probably at the end of this month. We'll go firm on a date. But as a precursor to that, we were looking to do a full day kind of workshop and an engagement piece, um, slightly more connected. So please do keep an eye out on my page. Also, you can find Sarah if you put her through Google, the
Yeah,
name,
exactly.
or on my profile page on the About, my website's on there. You can click on that, and that'll take you to other ways to connect with me, and we'll really kind of talk about what that'll look like and when that'll be. Probably in and around the same time as when the retreat was supposed to be. And yeah, we'll just kind of use that as almost a halfway point, a midterm break from the book club and the retreat of finals. So,
Good.
thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you for
Yes.
your time. Thank you for the engagement. Thank you, Sarah, for the practice. Pleasure, Bodil. And we're doing it because we really enjoy it. Um, I was saying this to a friend of mine the other couple of weeks ago. It's really cool to be able to have like a regular engagement with my friend Sarah about a topic which we talk on a very regular basis on WhatsApp voice note about, but face to face.
Which we both nerd out on our WhatsApp chat.
Exactly. Exactly. So,
Oh, it's so cool. Yeah, also from my side, thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you for your courage, your curiosity. Thank you to all your parts who came up today, who revealed themselves to you, and see you next time.
exactly.
Yeah,
So
thank
deep bows to you all. Deep bows and thanks to our parts.
Yes.
Take one final deep breath in. And an exhale. And with that, we close the container, step out of the container. Thanks, guys.
See you next time.
See you later. Bye.